What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, man. Hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. If you're from where I'm from, you can see back here, you're probably not. It's very snowy, very cold, very slick out. So if you're traveling, obviously be safe. But listen, man, this is not the best day for NBA content. I'll acknowledge that up front. I'm sorry about it. But listen, I think halfway through the season, around the 40-game mark, it's a good time to really set back and look at some of the awards and project of what these players are doing and see what we think award they might get based on how they're playing now. And like I said, project a little bit further. Now, I know today, like I said, is not the best day for NBA content. So if you're watching this, it's one of two reasons. One, you're an NBA diehard, and I appreciate you guys so much for coming here and enjoying NBA content. And two, you're probably on YouTube and doing stuff around the house just waiting for the NFL to kick off. And you're like, oh, yeah, I'll listen to a little bit of NBA content. Either way, for whatever reason you're here, or if you're just a supporter, I appreciate you guys so much for being here. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. Make sure to turn on post notifications and hit the like button as well. Leave a comment. Follow all my social media down in the description below, man. Get at me. Talk to me. Let me know where my opinions are wrong or right. I've enjoyed so much talking to you guys, especially on TikTok, man. It's really been popping off. There's been a lot of good conversations in the comments there. So I appreciate you guys. If you're here from TikTok, shout out to you, man. Leave a like or comment letting me know that you're from TikTok. But let's go ahead and dive straight into today's video, man. Let's keep it short and sweet. We're going to talk about Most Improved Player of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year, Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and MVP, of course. So we're going to start from the way I listed it up is how I have it written down. Most Improved Player of the Year to me is pretty cut clear and simple. It's Tyrese Haliburton. Now, let's talk about it. Tyrese Haliburton has always been a good player. We always knew he was going to be something that a certain type of player that could be a really good player on a playoff team. They obviously just made the trade for Siakam, so they're seeing that as we are, the executives for the Pacers. I think the reason I have him as most improved is because we saw him as a player that was, here, and he was reaching this potential like last year, and then all of a sudden this year he's taken a leap towards we're like, oh, like he's a top 5, top 10 guy, right? I think here is like top 15. He was going to stick around. He's going to make a few all-star games. He might make a deep run in the playoffs, but the way he's played this year puts him in a different echelon with different players like Jokic, Embiid, Tatum, Luka, where these guys have made very deep, well, Embiid hasn't made a very deep playoff run, but, just a guy who is very consistent, can put up a lot of points, make his teammates better. He is one of those guys. So in terms of most improved, I don't know if you can really put somebody of his stature in this, but the way I see it, the way I view the award, Tyrese Haliburton has that one all but locked up. It's his to lose, even with the injury. Moving on, man. Sixth Man of the Year was a tricky one. I will not lie to you. I spent about an hour and a half looking up these awards and trying to figure out who and comparing stats and why I would put them in this role. A lot of you guys are going to say, it's on my chest, it's hanging up. You know I'm a Celtics fan, but the Sixth Man of the Year for right now is Al Horford. Now, let me tell you why. I also am very interested, before I tell you why, to leave a comment of who you think it is, because this award was very hard to look through and comb through and compare stats. But as someone who's watched a lot of NBA basketball this year, shout out to League Pass. This is my second year having it. And even though it's not the best, it still works to watch a lot of basketball. And that's at the base of what it needs to be, right? Al Horford has been what's the word I'm looking for? He has been untouchable for the Celtics. He is one of the many players for the Celtics that will not be in a trade, even though you're hearing rumors about making another trade, right? The way the veteran leadership, the way he's able to come off the bench and provide a spark that like no other player I've ever seen, man. Like, when I tell you, when Al Horford comes into the game, it gets a louder pop than sometimes Jalen and Jason. It is insane, bro. Like, the way he's able to get the crowd into the game, the hustle plays, the three-point shooting when it's needed, not just, he can stroll up the court and hit a three like every other NBA player can, but it's the timing of which he hits these three-pointers. It's the timing of which he gets rebounds. It's the timing of which he's able to get into these guys who are like, maybe, slacking off on one end or the other of the court, and it gets them right back in. He snaps them right back into focus, man. And I think it goes a lot more beyond stats with Al Horford, so I could see where some of you might be upset, where it's like, oh, this person's averaging this much, this person's averaging this much. But with Al Horford, the way he's able to almost come in like somebody like a point guard who comes in with that second unit and is able to run it like a general, a little bit older point guard. He's not even a point guard, and he's just able to, it's just his aura on the court. It's so weird to explain what I'm like hearing myself say it. I'm like, is he really? But watch the Celtics play. Watch the first quarter and watch how all this happens, the way the game is played, the way plays are called, and then watch what happens when Al Horford comes out on the court. It is like a different Celtics team. It is so cool to watch. And so I'm leaving this one open for discussion, but for me personally, Al Horford is the sixth man of the year leading up to the halfway mark. And listen, like I said, let me know what you think in the comment section, guys. Don't just be like, oh, this guy's an idiot or I don't agree. Let me know why you don't agree. I like talking about sports. This is why I started this YouTube channel. So talk to me. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Give me some options. I'm eager to explore and look at people's stats and watch some film on these guys. That's what we're doing this for. Coach of the year, I think, is pretty self-explanatory as well. There are some other guys you can throw in here, but let's talk about Mark Daigneault. I think it's Daigneault or Daigneault. I'm not sure. Either way, he's coaching his butt off for this Oklahoma City Thunder team, man. They're a top 5 seed in the West. If they continue to play like this, they're not even going to be a play-in team. They're going to be a playoff team and not even have to worry about it like they have the past couple of years. The way he's got Shea playing right now, now listen, is it all, obviously with, a superstar like that, coaching is not as big when a guy is just that talented. But listen, man, he's got him playing at a high level. He's got Chet in essentially his rookie year playing well. He's got the guys around him playing well. The defensive side of the ball is something I thought the Thunder might struggle with just because they're a younger team. Younger teams tend to struggle with defense. Obviously, with Chet taking over the position of center, he's a lanky guy. You've heard all this stuff since before he was drafted about how skinny he is, about how lightweight he is. But he's been able to hold his ground to a certain extent, and I think that has made them formidable on the defensive side of the ball. And so for me, he's got to be the coach of the year for the way he's gotten them playing overall with the role players and everything. And also the defensive side of the ball has been, I would say, leaps and bounds better than what a lot of us thought it was going to be. Moving on, man. Speaking of defense, defensive player of the year. This one was also hard. This one was one I spent a lot of time researching and trying to compare and contrast players. I think a lot of times when you look at things and you say, man, stats aren't everything. That's 100% true. Stats truly aren't everything. But when it comes to the awards, especially for the NBA, it's a bit of a clout type of thing. You got to have a big name. You got to have a big status. And this guy has previously won the award, I think twice. And he's won it for a reason, man. He's on the number 1 seed in the Western Conference for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Rudy Gobert is averaging almost 3 blocks a game, almost 12 rebounds a game, about 6 and 6 offense and defense. It's truly incredible how good he is at defense in the regular season. Obviously, when the playoffs come, it's a completely different story. But these are regular season awards, man. And to me, I looked at some other people, some centers, some guards who have been playing really good defense. And just overall, it is the midway point of the season, so stats aren't going to be what they're going to be at the end of the year. That's why I preface this by saying stats are not everything. But if you've watched the Minnesota Timberwolves play, I have a lot, especially on League Pass. It's kind of hard to not pick them. But once again, like I said, it's very similar to the Sixth Man of the Year award, where it could go either way. Let me know down in the comments who you guys would have. Moving on to the second to last award, it's Rookie of the Year. Now, Rookie of the Year has been one that we thought was going to be a very fun race, which it has to a certain extent between Wemby and Chet. But let's be honest. If we go back to the Ben Simmons, Donovan Mitchell thing where Ben Simmons, it wasn't really his rookie year and Donovan Mitchell wore the hoodie and all that stuff. let's take that aside, right? Let's just assume that we all agree this is Chet's rookie year, which I feel like from what I've seen on social media, everyone does kind of agree about that. Like everyone's kind of like, yeah, this is Chet's rookie year because he did not play a single game. He wasn't really able to practice with the team because of his injury. Now, obviously, getting to travel, getting into the routine of an NBA year, season, that all helps when it comes to being a first-year player. If you get an extra year of that, obviously that's going to help you. So that is something that needs to be taken into consideration. Obviously, being another year in the weight room with NBA trainers, getting your diet right, everything like that. I personally think Chet right now is the winner of Rookie of the Year for two reasons. One, I think he's making a bigger impact on his team as far as what they like seeding wise, winning wise, being a winning team. I think he's making a bigger impact than what Wemby has, which is not to Wemby's fault. Wemby does not have a lot of people around him that are solidified players like Chet does. You know, Chet at least has a SGA, a solidified guy who is an up-and-coming superstar where he's able to read the game, he's able to process the game, he's able to help younger guys out. On the Spurs, there's nobody. I mean, they're experimenting with the point guard position a lot of times, even though they have a guy who is like a floor general where it's just read and react, set the screen, get this guy the ball, get this guy the ball, not a score for, you know, with Jeremy Sohan, he's still learning the position. And I think that obviously hinders somebody in a position like Wemby where it's his first year. He's this unicorn guy. You see the talent. It leaps off the TV screen, but the players around him are to a detriment. And I think because of that, it's losing him that award. Now, obviously, is Rookie of the Year this big deal? No, not really. It's fun to have. I think a lot of these players, when they come into the league, it's a goal of theirs, but it's not like this, oh, I have to have it. You know what I mean? And I think for somebody like Wemby, where he seems to be very grounded, he seems to understand the landscape of the NBA. I don't think he's truly worried about that. I think he wants to win. I think he is interested in non-personal awards. I think he wants to win rings. And I'm not saying that Chet is one of those guys that cares about himself. I'm just saying when you look at the landscape of how everything is working out and overall stats and different things like that, I just think that Chet is playing better as far as the rookie class. And so for me right now, I think it's a close race, but I think Chet has the upper hand. Moving on to the last award, man, MVP. I purposely waited for last night, Celtics Nuggets, in the Boston Garden, man, 20-0 at home. I purposely waited for this game before I made this video because I felt as if the MVP award was up in the air. And to me, that game really stood out as whoever takes the upper hand in that game should be the leader of this award. Now, obviously, when you look at Embiid and what he's doing, he's having a great season. But I don't think, even if he has the same season as last year or something close to it or even better, I think his losses in the playoff have hurt his reputation too much. Obviously, when it comes to Embiid, if you're on Twitter, you're on NBA Twitter, man, you know the things that come with Embiid. Obviously, the free throw merchant is not lightly thrown around when it comes to his game. I do think he's a great player. I mean, you know, the things he's able to do on a basketball court are amazing. But to me, like I said, I think his playoff losses have hurt him this year. I think it was kind of okay, we'll give this guy the award so we could stop hearing about it last year, truly. Not saying he didn't deserve it. I'm just saying, you know, it's very similar to like when LeBron doesn't win MVP every year during his prime, or like when you know Bill Belichick doesn't win Coach of the Year every year, or it became fatigue with Jokic. And so I think that last year Embiid got it, and I don't think he's going to get another one until he does something significant in the playoffs. So I feel as if the top five right now are pretty genuinely or generally accepted. I think it's Jokic, Embiid, Tatum, Luka, and then your fifth, you know, could be SGA, could be somebody else. Not in that order. Let me preface that by saying it's not in that order. I'm just saying those are the guys you hear thrown up into that discussion. And so I personally waited for Denver, Boston, in Boston to be like, okay, who's going to be my guy? Who am I going to say for this video to really have the upper hand going into the second half of the season, or starting the second half of the season? And obviously, Jokic came away with the win. Jokic had 30-something points. Jokic ended the streak at home for the Celtics. There's not much you can say about Jokic that hasn't been said. There's not much that you can see Jokic do and you're not surprised. We threw KP at him. Obviously, smaller guy as far as, weight, strength, and Jokic ate him up. I, as a Celtics fan, talking about Al Horford, I was not worried about Horford going in to guard Jokic because of the way he's been able to guard Giannis. He's been able to guard Embiid, especially in the playoffs. Jokic ate him up. Jokic is a different cat. Like, he is crazy the way he's able to do what he's able to do on the floor at that size. And he just looks unathletic. And he's just, whatever he puts up goes in. Whatever he wants to do on the court goes in. It is the right move on the court. Like, whatever he wants, he owns the basketball court when he steps on it. And so for me, MVP's got to be Jokic halfway through the season. I think my top three would be Jokic, Tatum, and Embiid. Maybe Giannis is in there. He's had a little bit of a lackluster year for Giannis. You know what I mean? Don't kill me, Bucks fans. He's still balling out. I'm just saying for Giannis. SGA obviously needs to be mentioned in that conversation. Luka, is kind of in the same category as Giannis, having a lackluster year for himself, even though he's playing great. He had a really hot start to the season, but it's kind of fizzled off compared to what he was doing. And so for me, man, just to go back over these, most improved player, Tyrese. Sixth man of the year, Al Horford. Coach of the year, Mark Daigneault. Defensive player of the year, Rudy Gobert. Rookie of the year is Chet, and MVP is Jokic. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, man. Hit me up on all social media platforms. That is linked down below in the description. If you're new here, like I said, leave a subscribe, leave a like, comment, all that stuff, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Peace out.